Hello and welcome back to the Next Level Show. I'm Cledra, your host, and this is where you can expect solutions to move your life, career, or business forward because there's always next. And so today I want to talk about creating the life you want, breaking the mental programming keeping you bound. And this topic was inspired because today is Juneteenth at the time of this recording, and I was watching this great documentary about how June 19th, 1865, if you don't know the story, there was Major, I think his name was Gordon Granger. I may be mispronouncing it, but anyway, he came to Texas to make this announcement that all of the slaves were free. Now, keep in mind, this is 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation was signed by Abraham Lincoln. And so the slaves find out that they are free. However, as I'm watching a documentary, there are so many slaves who decide to continue to work for the slave owner. Now, keep in mind that they have witnessed rapes, lynchings, beatings, people being burned, the KKK torturing them. And I'm sharing this because a lot of times when we don't understand our own behavior of why would I choose something that would be so limiting when I have this opportunity to choose something that would be so liberating? Delayed liberation is what I'm calling it because when there's delayed liberation, it's not just because the words are spoken or the understanding that freedom exists, it's also the trauma that's been passed down. And so what happens to the trauma, even though there's been this proclamation that you're free? The trauma is still in our body. And that's the same for all of us, specifically women. And even if this isn't your ancestry line, we all have a form of this. And so I wanted to share this story before I get into breaking the mental programming of keeping you bound because it's understanding that what stands in the way of you creating the life you want is similar to what stood in the way of these people believing that they could venture out and leave the familiar and step into something better for their life. And it's understanding how to relate to what our mind does when we've been exposed to difficulty. Now, I want to give you some examples of invisible bondage being paralyzed by the fear of getting it wrong. Where does that come from? You may have heard like you shouldn't be a perfectionist, but I want you to see being a perfectionist as a protective and safety mechanism and not something that you need to fix. It's something that you need to understand, or I want to invite you to understand it as opposed to like maybe what you've heard in the past is an invitation to try to fix it or stop it. Understanding that getting it wrong, if we go back to Texas, meant being killed. Okay. The other thing is being exhausted from overworking to prove that you're good enough. If we go back to this scenario, this situation in Texas, the slaves being overworked and exhausted was a badge of honor. It's what you were applauded for. And so many of us continue to adopt those things. And a lot of these habits were passed down to us that we believe that I can't get it wrong, number one. And number two, I need to be overworked and exhausted or I'm not doing something right. The third thing is silenced by systems that reward staying small. So the lynchings, and there was a postcard that was created of a black man being he was hanging from a tree, and it was literally a mass produced postcard where people during that time would write happy birthday, but there was this programming of sending this picture of this black man hanging from a tree to reinforce the idea that this is what's going to happen if people who look like this don't stay small and don't stay in their place. Keep in mind, everyone was auctioned like an animal, treated like an animal, treated like a dog or worse, you know? And so I'm sharing this story about the postcard because it was so just, it hit me so much in watching the documentary that there would be someone who would make a postcard of a man hanging from a tree to just continue to reinforce the message of the danger of people who look like that getting out of their place. And I'm saying this because we still have those images now, and those images are just now on Instagram. Those images are just now on the news. Those images now are on our Facebook feeds. When we hear about, at the time of this recording, a woman, a female senator who just by answering her door because someone rang the doorbell was shot in cold blood, right? And so the fourth thing I want to share is being emotionally numb or spiritually depleted. And I hear this a lot from several of my clients who are physicians or ministers, people who take in a lot of tragedy, hearing things that are sad over and over and over again and not having a space to process your own sadness can result in this feeling of being emotionally numb, like you just simply cannot feel. And so when we cannot feel, we cannot heal. And so these are examples of invisible bondage. And I want you to really just think about, where do you see yourself in these forms of bondage? And there, and then the next thing is, how do you then, with that understanding of the invisible signs of bondage, how do you then take care of yourself when you want to create the life you want? Because this is what typically happens. I'll coach women who want to lose weight. They want to ask for that promotion, or they want to develop their exit strategy. They've been doing one thing for 20 or 30 years, and they're like, okay, Cledra, I want to plan the next, 30 years of my life. And then they will be paralyzed in inaction and then beat themselves up internally because they're like, I know better. I know I can do this. But it has nothing to do with knowing. It has more to do with feeling and understanding that the perfectionism, the criticism, the inner critic, the believing you're not enough, feeling anxious, or believing you're not confident, all of those things, I want you to see them as safety messengers because your body doesn't feel safe to move forward. It has nothing to do with you not being capable of moving forward. And this is important because so many women I coach, and I've been one of these before I understood this work and how the brain works, and how the brain, how we have the concept is called epigenetics. We're not going to talk about that in this video, but we all have a lineage of passed down trauma. All of us, all of us. And so understanding how it presents for you is important, and understanding that these are messengers when you are, you know, the reason let me just say this. You may have been taught that when you are procrastinating, or when you, let's say you want to lose weight and you overeat, that you're sabotaging yourself. I want to invite you to release that framing now and forever. Because anytime you're doing what you've been taught is sabotage, what you're actually doing is trying to make yourself safe. It's a protective messenger. Okay, a protective message mechanism to keep you safe. This is more body work, nervous system work. And so, what do you do to create the life you want? And I may make this two parts because this video is a lot of awareness and I don't want to make it too long. But the first thing is, you want to start with awareness, like I just said. What is the script that you're telling yourself about the fact that you may be procrastinating, or that you're not doing what you know to do? And if you've been beating yourself up, I want you to put the bat down. And where can you choose to see how this? Where can you be curious to see how is this behavior keeping me safe? Because playing small, being silent, not being seen was the way we stayed safe historically. Okay. And understanding this can be a game changer with you. That's number one, the awareness. Second is understanding how to comfort yourself. So, the one method that I want to give you today is box breathing. And I didn't create box breathing, but what I added to box breathing was a spiritual component. And so, box breathing, if you haven't heard of it, is think of a box and it's four sides. So, it's an inhale of four and a deep, slow exhale of four. Inhale through your nose, exhale through your mouth. And the four words that I like to add to calm my nervous system are God is with me or Holy Spirit guide me. And I want you to just take a moment to do this right now. And if you're able and it's safe to do it, just also put one hand on your heart and just inhale deeply while you say to yourself, God is with me. And then exhale, God is with me. And I want you to repeat that four times. You can also use a deep inhale of Holy Spirit guide me if you're needing guidance. Holy Spirit guide me as you exhale. So these are two forms of breathing that can help you. Once you have awareness, you also need action to comfort yourself to begin to create the life you want. Totally different approach than looking at yourself as you're someone who's sabotaging yourself and these are the things you need to fix. No, these are the things you need to understand. So I'm definitely going to have a part two where I go deeper into this so that you can really understand that this isn't about you working harder or trying to plow through or having more willpower. This is about you surrendering and understanding how to create safety for yourself so that you feel safe enough to leave the plantation. All right, that's what I have for you today. God bless. Listen, if you liked what you heard here today, subscribe and like. That's going to help me to continue to get this message out to more people that their next level isn't just about working hard and all grit and no sleep, team no sleep and all of the things that we hear online, that it's really about understanding how to get yourself aligned from a nervous system perspective and understanding how your history may be playing out in your present. All right. And if you want to take this work deeper, schedule a next level consult at my website, cledra.com. All right. God bless, and I'll see you in the next show.